Okay, so this is going to be the quick unboxing of the Brainwavz B400. Yes, I say Brainwavz. That's how it's spelled. Everybody else says Brainwaves. That's cool. I say Brainwavz because it's more fun. The reason why right away this is sticking out a little bit is because this is an absolute monster to try and open up. Like, as far as the unboxing experience goes, I don't know if you guys even care about that, but I am literally pulling as hard as I can to try and... There we go. All right. This is an asshole. But this looks nice. So let's see what they give us. Just in case anybody's curious, this was not provided to me by anybody. I literally just went out and purchased this. And the review that will follow this will be my impressions alone. As is with everything that I review. So right away, actually that's kind of cool. So they give you this nice little case. This has the IEMs in it. And what I like about this case is it's actually quite small. And it can easily just be chucked into something, backpack or a pocket. Whereas, like, compare this case here, this is the Andromeda case. It's maybe not quite as long, but it's quite a bit thicker, quite a bit fatter. So, that's definitely quite nice. And then I like that they have these little holder pieces in here so that you can have good care of your IEMs. Oftentimes, people don't really do that. They just chuck it in and off they go. Got some compli tips here. Love me some compli. That's red compli. That's new. I haven't tried those before. And then you get a whole bunch of different ear tips with the regular, I believe it's just the silicone material. Of course, this comes with a user guide. People don't read that. And then, of course, here are the IEMs. And these ones are a nice sky blue color. Maybe not sky blue, Caribbean blue. Anyways, they're blue. And they look quite nice, actually. They're a little bit translucent, as you can see. That's enough of this. Impressively, there's also another cable, and I was not expecting this, so I'm quite happy about that. This is a detachable IEM, so good on them for supplying a second cable. What is this? Oh, that comes out. That just comes off. This is a cleaning wipe for hearing aids. I don't know if that's if for using with hearing aids. I'm guessing this is just a cleaning wipe for IEMs, right? Like, it's for hearing aids, but it'll work with IEMs. Nice of them to include that, because that means that you can easily share them. You can get 2 of those. So I'm gonna pop those back in there. So that's pretty much all that you get. Now let me listen to them for a little bit, and I will come back to you with a review of the Brainwavz B400. Okay, so this is my very quick review of the Brainwavz B400 quad balanced armature IEM, and that's a mouthful. And some of you are already looking at this at Campfire Andromeda and going, well, why the hell do you need a sub $200 IEM, $100 to $200 IEM, when you have this wonderful Andromeda already? That's a good question, but there are some situations where the Andromeda is just not appropriate. Like, for example, I mentioned this in my review, which you guys can check out, that I don't think it's suitable for running or working out or just sort of stuffing in your pocket on a night out. Whereas something like this is a lot more likely to be that solution. So as much as I love the Andromeda, it really isn't as versatile, just because it's so valuable and so important to me. So what is this? Well, this is, again, as the name says, a quad balanced armature IEM. Remember, the Andromeda is a 5 balanced armature IEM, but just because they're close in the number of drivers, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily close in performance. Certainly, the Andromeda has much faster leading edge transients and better resolution, and that's not just from the tuning. It's actually just it gives you more detail. But I have to say I'm absolutely floored with how good these are, these Brainwavz B400s for the price. First impressions of the B400 are that they are absolutely outstanding for the price. And if anybody is looking for a sub $200 or even like $100 to $150 IEM on sale, this is probably the threshold IEM. Like, in my opinion, it should be considered a standard, because if you produce an IEM around this price range, it has to be at least as good as the B400. All right, so I would consider that a not reference in terms of sound quality, but a reference in terms of price for performance item. So given that I've said that, well, what makes this so good? Well, it's the clarity for starters, but it's actually the tuning. There is a bit of a wonkiness in the treble, but for the most part, this is like, it does everything right. The bass here is, I want to say it's like about as good as the Andromeda. Like, if I were to hear the two, like, and just again listen to like frequencies between like 40 hertz and like 200 hertz, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you which one is which. Again, that's maybe a bad example, because who knows? For all I know, maybe I would be able to tell. But it's really close. And then for the mid range as well, the mid range is quite resolving, and it gets like maybe it's 80 to 90% of the way there, in comparison to the Andromeda. I get that this is a stupid comparison to make, because here we have, $100 to $200, and then there we have $1,100. Like, that's just not that's not a comparison anybody wants to make. But here I am doing it because it does get that close. And the upper mid range starts to get a bit weird. So there is actually a bit of a dip or recession in the mid range that makes it almost like it would be V-shaped or U-shaped, but it's not quite, because it's not a dramatic dip. But then right around 3.5K, there's a little bit of an elevation that it might not be for everybody. In my CL2 planar review, I mentioned that the IEM was tuned like just way out of whack between 2 and 5K hertz with like a 10 dB boost in that range. And this is nothing like that. Like, this is just a very tasteful little elevation. This is what that IEM should have been tuned to. It should, like, if you gave me a choice between the tuning of that IEM, the CL2, and the B400, I'd take the B400 every day of the week. Just because this is the tasteful kind of a little bit more energy in the 3.5K region. Again, to balance out some of that mid bass. I think this is the way to do it if you're going to put a little bit of a lift there. And then this is where the comparison tends between this and the Andromeda tends to stop a little bit. And it's in the highs, it's in the treble. The Andromeda does treble better than any IEM I've ever heard, except for maybe some of those 64 audio stuff that's just ridiculous. The Andromeda has, again, an airy, spacious, open, kind of pillowy treble, and the B400 really just doesn't quite match that. Doesn't even come close, actually. And right around 11K, well, let's say 10K upwards, it's a bit more subdued. Now, keep in mind that I wouldn't necessarily consider that a roll-off. I wouldn't consider it a veil. I would just consider it a bit more subdued, right? So, like, all the detail is still going to be there and present, but it's just not going to be as good as it is in the Andromeda. If you're going to EQ it a little bit, I would boost that region between 11 and 15K, or 11K upwards. I would boost it maybe by about 5 dB at most. It doesn't really need that much. So again, it's not that it's rolled off or not resolving in that range. It's just tilted downwards a little bit. So I'd consider this actually a fairly neutral headphone, or IEM. So it doesn't lean dark at all, but it could just use a bit more air up top, and that's really about it. That's the only real downside with the tuning here. Everything else gets very close to the Andromeda, and apart from maybe that tiny little bit of a bump at around 3.5K, which I don't think you need to EQ out. I think it's It's pretty darn close. Now, where, again, the reason why you get the Andromeda over something like this is for its resolution and its speed, the transient response. Obviously, the B400 just can't match that. But I will say that for the purposes of again, this is going to sound stupid, but for the purposes of non-critical listening, and you're not looking for the absolute most in engagement, this gets you like 90% of the way there. And that's saying a lot, because in my mind, this is one of the best IEMs for the price. And that, again, $1,100 is ridiculous, but this really does show $1,100 worth of IEM. This shows way better than $100 to $200. Like, this is like, if you gave this to me and said it cost $600, I'd be like, yeah, that's appropriate. And I've even compared this to some of the other campfire audio stuff, and they do. I can see why somebody would want to get one of those, because they are tuned a little bit more meticulously, and they do perform a little bit better. But I wouldn't say that the difference is substantial. So, sound quality wise, this absolutely outperforms its price. The other awesome thing is the comfort here. Now, the comfort on the Andromeda and the little brothers, the siblings of the Andromeda, it's not bad, but it's nothing compared to this in terms of comfort. So the comfort of these, they're light, they fit perfectly. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall out with any of the tips, and of course it does come with compli tips, so you can use them. So absolute thumbs up on the comfort side of things. And then on top of it, my favorite thing about it is that it has a detachable cable, and it comes with an extra cable in the box in case you do end up shorting it or breaking it or whatever. So nothing but good things to say about the B400 from me. And that pretty much does it for this review. Hope you guys are okay with this shorter format. I'm trying to just sort of knock out a few. I have another pretty exciting one coming up here in the next few weeks, depending on when it gets shipped out to me. Hopefully, I'll have something new for you guys soon.